Hello, welcome back. So, today is the spring equinox or vernal equinox. So today we are going to be talking about the goddess of spring and the dawn, Ostara or Iostre, from which we derive the name of the Christian holiday Easter. Bloody Christians stealing our pagan traditions! I might get to that later because it's kind of true, but maybe a bit unfair. So, Ostara, then, the goddess of the dawn and spring, because, of course, spring is the dawn of the year. Dawn is to the year what spring is to the day, or something like that. You get what I mean. So, the spring equinox, then, a little bit about the spring equinox and the wheel of the year. So if you've watched any of my videos before, I might have talked a little bit about the wheel of the year. So I made a video about 6 weeks ago now on Imbola, which is one of the cross-quarter days, one of the points in the wheel of the year. So we've got the summer solstice, we've got the winter solstice at sort of 12 and 6 o'clock, and then we've got the equinoxes, the spring and the autumn equinox. Sort of making a cross like that. And in between these, we have the what are called the cross-quarter days. So there's Samhain, Halloween, and then the other side of the year, there's Imbola, which you just have, which is Imbola. Go and see my video about Imbola if you want to. I'll put it here somewhere. But Imbola is about the earth just waking up, that hope. But this feast day, spring has very much arrived, full-bodied, and you know, really, it's really going. And if you live in this part of the world, I'm in southwest England here, but everything is just beginning to erupt into life, right? So when I made the Imbola video, just the snowdrops were coming up. So snowdrops are very important for that time of year, February bells, Candlemas bells. But now we've had the daffodils have been up for a while, the willow is just blossoming. Yeah, all sorts of stuff is coming out. Primroses everywhere. And also all the birds are coming back. There's jackdaws and starlings and squirrels all fighting for housing rights in my roof right now. So the world is really waking up. So that is sort of very much what Ostara represents, this coming of new life into the world, psychologically new creative impulses. If you ever see representations of Ostara in art, particularly more romantic art of the last 200 years, you kind of see her just kind of riding in from the east on a cushion of air with her hair sort of held aloft by little tweeting birds, and she's just sort of gazing at the land that's just erupting into blossom around her, with little rabbits gambolling at her feet and, you know, deer frolicking and all that kind of thing. So yeah, a goddess of fertility, right? And there's the point. Now, a little bit about etymology and naming. Obviously, I've used the word Ostara. That's kind of a made-up name. It was sort of theorized by Jacob Grimm, one of the brothers Grimm of Grimm's fairy tale fame, who was trying to reconstruct Proto-Germanic religion. The name we do have attested in history is Istre or Eostre, which is in Old English. That was written down by the venerable Bede, which I was forced to read at school by my religious studies teacher whenever I've been naughty, which was quite a lot. So, you know, I've done my fair bit of reading on Bede. So Bede mentions this goddess Ishtar. He doesn't tell us much about the practices involved, just that there was a pagan goddess called Iostre. I'm opting for the name Ostara, despite being English, because it's easier to say, and I think that's how we should select all our deities in any of our practice. A critical point here: Bede has the celebrations around the pagan festival of Easter happening in the month of April, after which is named Easter month of the East. However, I would argue that these celebrations would have taken place from the spring equinox right up until the 1st of May, which is the next point in the year, the festival of Beltane. Now, in the source material, both Jacob Grimm talks about this, and Bede talks about this, and we have this attested in numerous sources. Many of the Germanic peoples at around this time of year, from the spring equinox all the way up till May Day, and including May Day, there would be the gathering of flowers, laying of offerings of flowers on stones in wild places, the lighting of fires, and lots of general cavorting and dancing around. Obviously, there's the May Day tradition in England. This is a later tradition where fertile women would dance around a maypole, which sort of represents a big phallus erupting with seed. So again, these fertility ideas. Leaving Ostara and Eostre to one side, because obviously these are strictly Germanic and Anglo-Saxon versions of a much more wide-reaching Indo-European deity of the dawn, with many cognates. And this is the interesting bit for a mythologist like me, is going, oh, that god looks like that one, oh, that one looks like it might have broken away from that one or rejoined that one or this one. It's a funny old business untangling the associations, because it's never neat, and we as humans, I think, like to neatly categorize things, and you can't really do that with deities. They're like quantum particles, they appear and then disappear. Sometimes they split into two, sometimes they join together, other times there might be a smear of potential deity-ness across time and culture, that kind of thing. Very, very difficult to unpick, but there are similar themes happening with this goddess of the dawn. So we might look at the Greek goddess Eos, which shares a similar etymology, also just means east, and she rides across the sky from east to west in a chariot, drawing the sun behind her. This symbology we see in a lot of Indo-European culture. Interestingly, the Indo-Europeans would have come from the east with chariot technology and bronze and pointy sticks and a host of sky gods. So it's almost interesting that the Indo-Europeans, the Yamnaya themselves, coming from the east, would have brought this goddess of the east. There's a Vedic version from India, going back to the Babylonians, Ishtar. So this is another trope in this myth of this goddess, and you will be familiar with this one, a goddess being imprisoned in the earth and then released on the advent of spring. This is a very, very, very common theme, and we see this happening a lot. Persephone, Orpheus, all that kind of thing. The Roman version of this goddess as well, you will have heard of, Aurora, again coming in from the east. Some people also say that this goddess is similar to the Norse goddess Freya, not in etymology, but certainly in terms of the fertility aspect. Other people also equate her with the Irish goddess Bridgit, or Bride, and this does make sense in some ways because of the symbology of Bridgit being imprisoned in a mountain by the Cailleach in some folkloric tales. I've told that story on this channel. I'll put it here or there somewhere. But I would argue, and this is the thing about Ostara, she's got a different vibe to Bridgit, who is worshipped at, or who is important at Imbola. If we're talking about archetypal images of the goddess, there's a triple aspect to the divine feminine. This isn't just a contemporary pagan thing. This is attested in ancient sources as well, arguably. But they are bride, mother, and crone. Virgin, mother, crone. Bridgit very much represents the virginal aspect, represented by snowdrops, the white snow on the earth, the birch tree, and those new beginnings, those first stirrings of spring. It's hope. That's what it is. It's also, virginity. This is a different time of year. We've moved on. The goddess has grown up one notch in the wheel of the year. She's full-breasted and fertile now. She's a bit of a saucy minx, and we see this in other mythologies of Eos, the Greek goddess Eos, who is synonymous with Ostara. She is a saucy little minx. She's always just copulating with mortals, often to their great, it really ruins their family life. She's always shagging around, and she is very, very fertile. And obviously this makes sense. The land is fertile right now. This is why this is the anthropomorphic personification of this time of year. That is also obviously why the hare and the rabbit and the egg is popular imagery at this time of year, and still in the Christian festival of Easter, which is weird, but there you go, because the rabbit is obviously a fertility symbol, because they like to get it off with each other. The egg is an ancient fertility symbol. Obviously birds are laying eggs this time of year, so it's reflected in the natural world, but in ancient myth, in Egyptian and Babylonian sources, in many sources, Vedic as well, the universe is born out of a cosmic egg. I can't find a myth where that egg is laid by a hare, and I don't know how that has happened in history. It seems to be one of those quirks, but almost because we can't find a source for it, almost suggests that it's a very ancient tradition, maybe connected to the Eleusinian mysteries, perhaps taking that thread. I don't know. If you know, let me know in the comments. Jacob Grimm, by the way, has made up, or there has been some retrofitting of mythology about that story, about the goddess Ostara turning a bird into a hare. I think that's an example of more recent folk making. But yeah, very, 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 very ancient goddess associated with sexuality of youth. We're in between virgin and mother here. This is promiscuity, Ostara, and also perhaps why at this time of year, the pagan celebrations, there probably would have been a lot of sex and fornication in those celebrations. Certainly in the English festival of May Day, which actually corresponds to Beltane, there's the dancing around the maypole, and the lovers will go off into the forest and rut in the hopes of procuring a child. So that is the vibe with Ostara or Easter. Obviously the Christians came along and co-opted that. I think it's a very popular sort of stance to say, oh, bloody Christians stealing the pagan holidays. You get hardcore Christians saying that, and therefore, we can't celebrate Easter like JWs because it's pagan. And also you get maybe more atheist or anti-Christians saying, Christianity just nicked all of this. I don't think they really nicked it. It's more of an evolution. If you think about what Easter represents for Christianity, it's the rebirth of life, isn't it? It's Jesus has been resurrected. Jesus the Son has been resurrected. So symbolically, we're walking similar lines here. You've been granted eternal life. Spring has come back. Life is all around you. We're in similar mythic ground here. I think that's all I have to say now, apart from just what does Ostara represent psychologically? Well, I think I've already insinuated this sexual aspect can be thought about as the birth and gestation and conception of new ideas and new energies, after the long weeks and months of winter where everyone's just been hibernating a little bit. We've had Imbala where something just wakes up, but now things are really getting going. So if you're starting a new project, now's the time to get involved in it. Also, there's an almost universal urge to spring clean at this time of year. That has historical precedent around this time of year. We're sweeping out all the old energy and bringing spring flowers into the house to bring the divine of the natural world into your own home, to gestate these new emotional states and new wonderful ideas that you will all be having now. So thank you very much for listening. That was a total ramble, but now you know a little bit more, hopefully, about the goddess Ostara or Eostre and all the other related goddesses in the Indo-European pantheon, which you should go and check out as well. Aurora, Flora, Eos, Ishtar, all feed into this goddess. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. That was the second one of my deity tracker videos. I'll be making another one of those soon, maybe on the Horned God. If you like listening to me ramble about deities and mythology and telling old folklore, then do please subscribe to this channel and let me know what you think in the comments. All right, thank you. See you later.